Canada plans to buy a handful of used Australian fighter jets as a stopgap on the way to replacing all of the Air Force's aging CF-18s sometime in the mid-2020s, the Liberal government said Tuesday. Cabinet ministers at the same time formally announced the beginning of the competition to replace the entire fleet of fighter jets, a process that will take years. The long-expected purchase of 18 warplanes puts an end to a bid for brand-new Boeing Super Hornets, which had been the Trudeau government's initial plan over a year ago. But the proposal went down in flames after the Chicago, Illinois-based aerospace giant launched its trade fight against Bombardier passenger jets. No price tag was released in the formal announcement, which was made by Defense Minister Harjit Sajjan and Public Works Minister Carla Qualtrough. Australia has made a formal offer that will be subject to negotiation, but the expectation is that the first Classic Hornets will begin arriving in January 2019. The U.S. government will still have to give its blessing to the deal because the U.S. was the original manufacturer. The Liberals said in the 2015 election campaign that they would not buy the Lockheed Martin-built F-35. Angered by the Bombardier trade complaint, the Liberals have said Boeing was no longer a trusted partner. The complaint with the U.S. Commerce Department, alleging the Montreal-based aerospace maker was dumping passenger jets into the American market at unfair prices, resulted in nearly 300% import duties. Despite that, senior officials speaking on background at a technical briefing Tuesday said no company will be excluded from the full fighter replacement program. There is, however, one interesting, new aspect to that contest. It involves the introduction of an additional assessment mechanism to measure each bidder's overall impact on Canada's economic interests, said officials who spoke on background to CBC News prior to the announcement. That means competitors will not only have to deliver billions of dollars in economic offsets in return for the specific contract, but also demonstrate their other business dealings benefit the country. That is clearly aimed at Boeing. Bidders responsible for harming Canada's economic interests will be at a distinct disadvantage compared to bidders who aren't engaged in detrimental behavior, Qualtrough said. We're hoping this policy incentivizes all suppliers to behave in such a way that they won't be at a disadvantage. Qualtrough said a contract award is anticipated in 2022 and the first replacement aircraft could be delivered in 2025. In the meantime, the Air Force will use the Australian jets to meet its commitments. Sajjan said those jets are urgently needed to help Canada cover a long-standing capability gap, referring to the government's claim that there are not enough jet fighters for the Air Force to carry out its NATO and NORAD duties at the same time. Our government will not risk-manage our national defence commitments. The Australian jets are nearly 3 decades old, roughly the same vintage as Canada's existing fighters, and they have the same basic configuration. They are, however, close to the end of their useful life, according to a government background which noted that the fighters require regular corrosion maintenance.